like a wallet chain for your brain, this is the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, brought to you in part by the Gumball Head Sobriety Society.
Ooh, yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Gumball Head, with the morning version of Road Rants. It's Wednesday, the 17th September, 2025. Just kind of tell you where I'm at right now. 65 degrees here in Ohio. We are sunny out. Let's see here. Take a look around from the studio in the sky. No clouds. Completely clear sky. And I wasn't aware of this, but a completely stopped highway as well. I hope you guys are enjoying the drive into work this morning. Not a lot of us are. Obviously, as you can tell by the conversation I'm having with myself, traffic is completely stopped. 275 northbound, just south of the 71 off. Sounds like a personal problem to me, right? I was thinking about this last night before I went to bed. I do have people that listen to the podcast daily on their way to work. And sometimes I give good, decent, relatively somewhat entertaining information prior to your drive to work. Good thought concepts, processes, things to get you through the day. Things to ponder as you work for the man. I was thinking about this last night before I went to bed, though. You know, how do we start our mornings? What do you do? What is your daily commitment to yourself? Do you wake up, hit the snooze button 6, 7, 47 times, take a shower, take a poop, get dressed, go to work? Or are you one of those people that spring right out of bed, you got your socks on already, you're throwing your suit on, running out the door, grabbing your briefcase on the way, kissing the kids, petting the cat on the top of the head, running out the door? I'm going to share my morning routine with you. And, I want to see how normalized this is. And I think mine's pretty normal. Pretty basic, normal routine. I wake up, use the facilities, take a shower, brush my teeth, brush my hair, throw my hat, my glasses on. What do you get dressed first, though? What's the first thing you do? Now, me, it's underwear. Put the underwear on, throw the socks on, then I throw my shorts on, and then I throw my shirt on. And then it's my glasses and my hat as I'm walking out the door. Make sure I got my phone, my keys, my wallet, everything as I'm departing home. Matter of fact, I just checked to make sure I have my wallet with me. And then I grab my lunch out of the fridge, and I head to the car. And I think that's a pretty normal departure from home. Then I go to work, I do my work day, I come home, and then here's my work day when I get home. First thing I do when I get in the door, I take my shoes off. I've been wearing them all day. I'm tired. Sometimes I step into the office where the Normal Isn't Necessary studio is. The home studio is, Sometimes I go in there and put my keys down on the table. I'm one of those people that'll wear their pants 2 days in a row. I don't know if you are. I have had instances where I'll wear them 3 days in a row if I'm running out of time on that third day. But for the most part, just a couple of days in the same pants or shorts, whatever I'm wearing. But never the same shirt 2 days in a row, never the same underwear or socks. Just can't do that. I can't bring it to myself to do that. But shorts, pants, a couple days, call it good. I wear the same shoes every single day. As the winter months start approaching, we'll convert over to boots and longer pants. But we're going to wait till that temperature drops a little bit more, a little too warm for me in the afternoons when we hit the 80-degree mark. But when the weather starts to turn, that's when the pants come out. And, I walk in the home, take my shoes off. Sometimes I go so far as to just taking off the shorts and setting them off to the side. Sometimes I don't. Most of the time I do, though. Depends on if we got company coming or if we got something going on, if we're going to go for a walk or not. I'll leave the shorts on. But man, I think taking off the pants and unbuckling the belt is the men's equivalent to a female taking off her bra. Just getting into that comfort zone. Now, that doesn't mean that I walk around in my underwear all the time. Usually there's a pair of gym shorts or pajama pants that go on as a accompaniment. But not always. Sometimes it is an underwear It's an underwear at the dinner table type of day. So sit down, doom scroll for 20 minutes while wife gets food on the table. Sit down with the kids, eat some dinner, chat with them. I spend the evening, decompressing, doom scrolling, playing video games, whatever. Last night, I went to bed earlier than I normally do. I was laying on the couch with our 1.5-year-old, just laying there relaxing and just marveling at her beauty. I put my phone down long before. I had my phone down about 30 minutes as I just lay there and stared at how beautiful my child is. And I took a moment to kind of sit back and just revel in the fact that I have a lot of kids. I sure do. But the thing about that is, I love my beautiful children. I love staring at my kids in a, obviously a non-creepy way, but just enjoying my children's company, just enjoying and they do annoy me. They get mad at me and I get mad at them and this and that and the other thing. And last night there was a moment where I said to my wife, I was like, being home is like being at work, except for the boss hasn't gone through puberty yet, It's constantly, bickering and fighting and arguing and disagreeing and listening to, all these sounds and, there's TV going, there's an iPhone going, there's a cell phone going, there's an Amazon Alexa going, there's kids yelling and hollering in the background, there's my wife banging things around in the kitchen, she's trying to have a conversation with me, and I got my phone going, and it's just, it's chaos, but it's collective chaos, everybody's got their own thing going, but, we've got that crazy gumball machine going as we're sitting there, and I talked about anxiety on the podcast on the way home yesterday and how we can control our anxiety without medication to an extent, and I'm not condemning people to take medication for their depression, their anxiety, and their mental health matters. Make sure that if that's what you need, that's what you need. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Sometimes, our chaos comes out in ways of crying and anger and discontent and dissatisfaction. Sometimes it comes out with just like feelings of overwhelming emotions and desire for a hug and a need for love. And sometimes we just internalize it. And I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about that internalization, about how many things I just choked down. Just like, I'm not even going to get into it. How many times do I, as a father, as a husband, as an employee, as a man, how many times do I push those things down? And I talk about how imperative it is to talk about these things, how imperative it is to communicate these feelings and these emotions with our partner. Because if we don't, it's going to consume us. That's when we start stepping into that dark place. And there's a lot of things going on. Our co-host last night got held over at work at the end of a shift. He's like, look, I don't do this. This is not what I do. I work an 8-hour day and I'm done. His boss said to him, hey, you need to be more of a team player. Now, the boss has already put their time in and they've already gone home for the day. We all have our assignments. We all have our responsibilities. We all have expectations in our careers to make things happen, to make things go. And I totally get it. There are days where I'm stuck at work late, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 10, 11-hour days. I don't have a problem with that because I'm not working 12 to 14-hour days anymore. You want me to work a few hours over? Sure, no problem. I'll work a few hours over. I'll stick around. I'll hang out. I'll do some extra things. But then there's days where it's like I can't. I got stuff that I need to do outside of work. How much of it are we a slave? How much of it are we required to spend at our jobs? Sometimes we do need to be flexible. Sometimes we do need to stick it out a little longer, but if there's a low justification in the overstaying of our time at work, that takes away time from our family. Now I say this, but I also, as many of you know, I do a lot of drywall repairs and I do some evening time side work, and I make sure 100% make sure that it does not conflict with my job. I make sure that if I'm working in an HOA community, it is not managed or run by the company that I work for. I make sure I'm not in apartment buildings or multifamily homes, unless it's a small, quick drywall repair. And if that's the case, I find out who the management company is. I follow the rules of the company that I work for because I respect that business relationship between them and other people. I don't need any reason for anybody to terminate me from my employment because my full-time employment is priority. I tell my boss this on a regular basis. She's aware that I do some things here and there, but I'm also not doing it so frequently that it creates issue with me, being at work or putting in my hours during the day or fulfilling my obligations to the company that I work for. I make sure that I show up every single day because my company pays my bills. My company gives me consistent income. My company gives me health insurance. My company gives me a retirement. I don't want to hinder that. I don't want to harm that relationship that I have with my company. I also struggle a lot. I struggle a lot. I've turned down decent jobs, a couple hours, few $100s, because they did reside in an HOA that is managed by the company that I work for. I don't talk about the company that I work for. I don't boast about it. I don't brag about it. I keep that part of my life personal. I do talk about what I do. I do talk about, the type of work that I do. And I'm a maintenance technician. I do service on apartments. I take care of people in their homes when something breaks. I try to do my very best to try to fix things. And these are the things that I, need to do. And these are the things that I try to do. And I try to make sure that when I'm at work, I'm focused at my job. I don't do cell phone communications unless I'm on a break, and then I'll do a follow-up or I'll do a text message. But I respect the company that I work for. I respect it. Some people do that. Some people don't do that. Some people struggle with that. Some people will actually take the time that they're at work to do their side jobs, and you just can't do that, But let me refrain. I got way off base there. On our normal everyday, routine, how does your daily routine during your work week differ from your weekend job, your weekend responsibilities? I'm a sleep-in person. My wife is a sacrificial lamb. She does everything in her power to ensure that her husband is well rested and well taken care of. She does everything in her power to make sure that the kids are fed, that they're bathed, that they're ready to go when we have things to do. And it's stressful for her. I don't take the opportunity enough to sit back and respect that. I'll give case in point on Sunday, getting ready for church. She came in and woke me up. She does it gently. She doesn't want me waking up in a bad mood. Sometimes I do. But that's no fun. It's no fun. I'm going to spend the entire day with this person, and the last thing that I want is for them to be in a crappy mood. So she'll wake me up gently. Hey, just a reminder, we got to leave in like 45 minutes. Okay, and in my mind, it's like, all right, you got 15 minutes to sleep and 30 minutes to get ready to go. What she's saying is, hey, we leave in 45 minutes. We got to get the kids dressed. We got to get them fed. We got to get car seats in the car. We got to get the kids loaded in the car. We got to get the car rolling, and I want to leave at this time. So sometimes I don't flip that switch to where I see what's going on. We don't make plans. We don't go and do things. I am not that fun father that's like, oh, it's Saturday. It's sunny out. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's get up and go. Unless we're camping, and then I'm up before everybody. I'm sitting by the fire. I'm getting the fire going. I'm getting breakfast going. We're having some fun, getting the coffee on, things that I enjoy doing. But I don't do that in the summertime. I sleep in, and then when I wake up, I just want to sit on the couch all day. Now I'm gonna normalize this for a second. I'm going to normalize this. Men, when they're at work, is when they do a majority of their thinking throughout the day. We think all day long, and women too. I'm not discounting women, but I'm speaking from a man's standpoint because I think like a man. We do our jobs. We think about all the things that are going on at home. We think about, hey, do I need to work overtime this week? Can I work overtime this week? Do I have enough work to keep me busy for that overtime? If I do, how much extra is that going to put in our pocket? How much extra work is that going to make me do? How many other things can I do? Where can I cut time and go and do my side work? When and for me as a dad, at 8:30, it's, hey guys, chill out on the couch with me. It's time to relax. Time to get wind down for the day. time to close our eyes, time to get sleepy. And, it's time. And then 9 o'clock, my expectation is for the children to all be asleep at 9 o'clock so that I can work on the podcast, or I can play video games, or I can, spend a few hours with my buddies. But this whole time, and this is where my thought process came in last night. During this time, come home, hi, honey, how's it going? How was your day? She just worked an entire day. She just worked an entire schedule, spending the entire day with the kids. And I do this quite often on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm home all day with the kids. My day starts late. She lets me sleep until 10 o'clock. And then I'm up and with the kids, and, we're frogging around, and sometimes we go outside and play. Sometimes we're stuck our nose in electronics, forcing our kids to become addicted to that. Sometimes we do things where it's like, you didn't do anything all day long. Why is the house still as messy as it was when I left? I don't convert like that. And again, I'm not justifying this. I'm trying to normalize the thought process, but I'm not there. Dads are terrible at cleaning house. Can't speak for all dads, because some dads just, they're just that way. But there's an expectation there for some people, and it's sometimes it's an unfair expectation. Sometimes it's unfair for me to expect the house to be clean when I come home every day, knowing full well that my wife's at home with a house full of toddlers in a toddler frat house. So I don't have that expectation. When I come home and the house is a mess, all right, cool. After dinner, guess what I do? I have the kids clean up the mess. Do I clean up the mess? No. Why? I didn't make the mess. I already spend my entire day vacuuming up drywall dust, sweeping up broken glass, and putting on rubber gloves because I got my hands in grease and in dirt and schmeg from other people's houses. I don't want to clean up the mess. I clean up my workspace. I clean up my work area. My desk, my computer desk at home is chaotically organized. Sometimes there's never anything on the top of it. Sometimes there's lots of stuff on there. Before I can sit down and do the work, I have to make sure that it's a comfortable area in order for me to sit down and do the work at. But I don't have to do that. But I choose to do that. Sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes I'll run a recorded podcast with somebody, and there's all these things on my desk that I'm just looking at thinking to myself, man, I really need to clean my desk. Sometimes we need to sit down and just kind of do things that we don't want to do. Sometimes we have to clip our fingernails instead of bite them. Sometimes we have to brush our hair instead of just throwing on a hat. Sometimes we have to put on our makeup instead of just saying, screw it, I'm just going to Walmart. Sometimes we have to clean up those things or change those things in order to make ourselves feel better. How do you do that while you're at work? As a man, as a dad, as a husband, as a father? How do you make those things happen? How do you clean up that brain while you're working? It's hard to do. It's really hard to do. It's hard to categorize things and make things, easier to digest while you're at work, because there's so many things that you're thinking about all at once, as opposed to having the concepts in the guidebook that tells you how to categorize these things. We don't have an Excel spreadsheet between our ears. We don't have a recycling bin next to a garbage can between our ears. We don't have the ability to stop doing what we're doing to focus on another thing because of what's going on between our ears. And when we get home, that stuff continues to carry on, but instead of burdening our significant other, our spouse, or dealing with our kids, we keep that stuff internalized, and that comes out sometimes in the form of anger. Sometimes it comes out in overlove. Sometimes our behaviors and our reactions to things come out in ways that we just want to be met. When I went to bed last night, Dre was talking to me, and she's like, I went into the bedroom and I went to charge my phone, and the charger wasn't working. Well, I was annoyed by it. It's like, why do I've got a fast charger. I've replaced this fast charger multiple times. And then the last time it broke, I'm like, fuck it, I'm done changing this. I'm done spending the money, because when I do spend the money and I go to use it, it doesn't work. So I keep my tools in the garage so they're out of the hands of children. It's out of the hands of other people that can create that chaos for me. I have chargers for my phone on my desk, but when I'm on call, I got to have my phone right next to me, just in case my phone rings, so that I can hear it, I can answer it, I can respond to the call of duty. How many times a day do you put your phone on the charger? There are people out there that charge their phone multiple times during the day. There's people out there that they get a full day's worth of charge out of their phone. If I'm not on call, I'm going to use my phone for my Bluetooth and my music, and I'm going to listen to music during the day, and I'm going to check my emails, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. When I get out of work, I'm at 30%. Plug my phone in for the live drive, and then I have to unplug it to plug my headphones in. So my phone doesn't get charged until I'm done for the day, until I'm done with the podcast, until I'm done doing these things. That's tough, too, sometimes. Because then I get home from work, and my phone is sitting at 30%. Now I have a limited amount of ability to do the things that I need to do throughout the day in order to accommodate the remainder of my day. Or I'll plug it in the half-broken charger that's on our kitchen counter, and I'll leave it there for a couple hours. It hinders my doom scrolling. Oh, well. It keeps me away from that. I look at the crayons and the markers that I have in my art box, and I share them with my children because I don't want to take that responsibility, or that ability, not responsibility, ability away from my kids to be creative. I want to share with them the tools that I use to be creative myself. As a result, I end up with bent marker tips and broken crayons, colored pencils that need to be sharpened, paper that's been wadded up. And it's okay at the time, and then I go to use them later, and I'm like, I can't use these markers. They're fucked. I might as well give them to the kids. Then they end up in the kids' art box, and then they get even more destroyed because now they're no longer dads. We don't have to be as careful. We can destroy them even further, and it won't matter because Dad will give us the next set of markers. Creating those patterns, creating that behavior allowance, because there's no repercussions as a result of those behaviors. We don't hold ourselves accountable. Why? Well, let's be real. Let's normalize this. Let's be realistic about this. Why do we give up? Because we have to pick and choose as fathers. We have to pick and choose as parents the battles that we fight on a regular basis, because we're already fighting a ton of battles. We're already fighting a lot of things that we have to go through on a regular basis. Why argue with our children? Let's show them a good time. We need to start focusing on that, on ourselves too. Sometimes when I sleep, it's like listening to a paper bag or a plastic bag with a cat playing inside of it. It's crinkly. Things don't stop moving. There's still a persistent amount of moving parts. There's loud noises. There's kicking. There's meowing. There's this and that. It makes it difficult to sleep very well at night. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'd rather come to work with sleep in my eyes still, knowing that I'm going to get a quick nap on my lunch break, than I would not having our child co-sleep with us. I don't like the co-sleeping, but I hate it when she's not there. Our youngest. I wake up in the middle of the night when she's fussing. I roll over, I grab her, I pull her in closer, I hug her, I hold her, I cuddle her, I snuggle her. I take the opportunity to be a parent, to comfort my child, to let them know everything's going to be all right, because that brings me a sense of joy. That brings me the ability to capitalize on my responsibility as a dad. Because I don't get that during the day. I don't get the opportunity to hug and kiss and cuddle and snuggle my kids during the day. I'm at work. I miss them. And in those moments where the wife just wants to sleep and I hold the baby at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm doing that for me, first and foremost, so that I can go back to sleep. And then I'm doing it for the baby so that the baby can sleep. And then I'm doing it for my wife so that my wife can sleep. Sometimes all we need is to be held, whether mentally or physically. And the only way that we can do that is by communicating with the people that we care about. I hope this information reached you guys well, and I hope you all have a wonderful day at work. It is Wednesday, the 17th of September, 2025. Until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love. We'll see you all soon.